New Mega Drive game time yet again. This time it's the highly anticipated shoot 'em up from Mega Cat Studios, ZPF, or ZPF if you like. What does ZPF stand for? I don't know. Is it an initialism or just a random name? This was one I backed on Kickstarter last July, and it's lovely to see an indie Mega Drive game be delivered in under a year via Kickstarter. I played the demo on the channel a while back and it was sufficient to get me pretty hyped about this game. Before we jump into the game and review, let's have a look at the packaging. Really pleased I went with the Japanese packaging on this one. As you can see, the artwork is really nice on these. The PAL and Genesis versions don't look anywhere near as nice in my opinion. This Japanese sleeve is reversible with this on one side and this more traditional Mega Drive style on the other, which I prefer. I also prefer the cart label on the Japanese version, which is again different artwork to the other two versions. The manual is really thick glossy paper, it's full colour and contains all sorts of useful information on the game's mechanics, etc. Really can't fault the presentation here. The game isn't for general sale yet, I assume they're shipping all the Kickstarter copies first, but keep an eye out on Mega Cat Studios website, linked below, and I'm sure it'll pop up for sale there soon. I think you can pre-order via the original Kickstarter page, so I'll link that too. ZPF is a horizontally scrolling shooter, much like the horizontal shooters of old on the Mega Drive. The back of the box cites several influences: Lords of Thunder, Elemental Master and Thunder Force 3 and 4, perhaps some of that era's better shooters. This game has been highly anticipated by Mega Drive fans, and I've been watching the game's progress keenly since I played the demo. It went through a bit of a stylistic change throughout its development cycle. Originally it was just fantasy themed, but now it's a mixture of fantasy, science fiction and alien. The blurb in the manual states that fantasy, future and alien have collided. The Japanese cover has the subtitle Future Metal Fantasy, and that really sums up the aesthetic choices they've made. There are elements of each in the game, both sci-fi and fantasy. There are 2 fantasy inspired levels, 2 future and 2 alien. Enemies are anything from fantastical beasts to high-tech war machines and combinations of the two. ZPF has 7 levels in total, 3 available immediately, 3 unlocked after each of those 3 initial levels, then a 7th and final level. The levels have some good variety too. Looking at this level select screen, you can see the initial 3 levels. Once you complete one of those, it unlocks another level immediately to its right. Then once you've beaten all 6 levels, the 7th and final level at the bottom there opens up. I spent a couple of days with the game so far after work and I haven't managed it yet. The beauty of this setup is that you can play any of the unlocked levels in any order you choose, which adds a bit of variety and lets you experience more of the game if you're struggling. There is no difficulty setting as such in this game, you can only adjust certain parameters which make things a bit easier. These are the number of medals you start with, which is the game's currency, the number of lives you have and the number of bombs you have. You can also adjust how many medals you lose when losing a life. The controls are very simple: A to fire, which can be held down, B for a melee attack and C for a smart bomb attack. The melee attack is a short range but stronger attack than your main shot and can be quite tricky to use. ZPF has 3 ships from which to choose, each having a unique shot and melee attack. Knight, which fires a forward stream of swords and has a sword melee attack. Gold fires a huge green laser beam forwards and has a green whip-like melee attack. Gladius fires a spread shot and has this circular melee attack. This ship is by far my favourite of the 3. Bomb attacks are the same for every ship, the animation is basically just explosions. I've not quite mastered the melee attack yet, so I'm finding it has limited use for me. It's a powerful attack but dangerous to use as you have to get up close and personal, so it's risk reward. Once you select the level you wish to play, it's straight to the shop. On the first level you play, you'll only have a small amount to spend, whatever you set in the game's difficulty settings, but the maximum is 200, so you won't have much either way. The currency medals are earned by defeating enemies during the levels. You won't have to collect them either, they're automatically added to your total. The end of each level awards you with some medals in chests too. Collect up a decent amount of medals because at the start of each subsequent level they can make or break your run. In the shop you can buy shot power, melee power an extra life, a continue, a power up which doubles your medals in the upcoming level, very useful for maxing out those earnings, a 2x score multiplier, essential if you're chasing those high scores, and a power up which I think reduces the enemy's shots. Only one life can be bought per shop visit, and only one continue can be held at any time. If you use your continue, you can then buy another one. You start with none, so if you lose all your lives and don't have a continue in hand, it's game over. You can also buy 2 hints in the shop, which are by far the cheapest items, 25 for the level hint and 50 for a boss hint. These are pretty much useless though, they just tell you something about the level or boss, but nothing actually strategically useful in any way. Save your money. One thing I think they missed a trick on is having the ability to buy more bombs. These can be literal lifesavers in the game, especially during boss fights. Interestingly, the manual states that they can be bought in the shop, but unless I'm completely blind, they aren't there. Another option is to exchange your medals for points, which I'd imagine is the key to reaching really high scores. Of course, you'd have to be good enough to play the upcoming level without any shop upgrades. Come to think of it, I'm not sure what the exchange rate is of medals to points, as I only ever did this accidentally. One thing to look out for or avoid is to press anything while you're entering the shop. Too many times I impatiently pressed A just to find I'd accidentally exchanged all my medals for points. Damn! There's like a zip animation when entering the shop, which you can turn off in the options menu. At first I was like, why is this a setting? How odd. But now I'm thinking maybe it's related to this, I don't know. Oh, and your number of medals displayed on screen is maxed at 999, so if you hold more than that, then you have no way of knowing how many you have. And it's fairly easy to top 999 if you're visiting a bonus stage. Bonus stages appear after a level sometimes, but I'm afraid I haven't worked out the parameters for unlocking these. They appeared to be random, but I'm sure there's some underlying method to reaching them. On these you can rack up a ton of medals, so they really make the difference in a playthrough. If anyone knows how these are accessed, please do let me know. The developers of ZPF has promised that there are a load of secrets to find in this game, and I've only really scratched the surface on that. I do know that each of the 6 levels has a corresponding ship. If you select the correct ship on a level, secrets can be unlocked. If you select the right ship and kill all enemies in a level up to a point, then a bird will appear and once shot will drop a key. I believe the keys can unlock secret bosses. Each of the 6 levels has a key, and collecting all of them unlocks the true ending to the game. If you look on the level select screen, there's space for 3 gemstones, and I think these relate to the final ending, like maybe if you defeat the secret bosses and it awards you a gem and then they unlock the true last level or final boss, not sure. I'm sure in good time people will work it out. The devs say there are multiple endings based on chosen character, skill level and route taken. These key holding birds also sometimes appear and drop extra lives too, handy. I quite like the idea of matching the ships to their levels, as it encourages you to mix things up and choose different ships. You choose your ship after the shop, so it's the last thing you do before starting a level, and you can select a different one each time, you're not limited to one per playthrough. Oh, I'd better explain the heads up display as well. So top left we have a mystery symbol, not sure what this is. In the manual it's just question marks, so I'd imagine it's somehow related to the in-game secrets. Next you have your shot power, which has 3 levels, your starting rate of fire, then 2 upgrades. Top middle is the world name, bottom is the stage name. Those are misnomers really, as the top is really the level name and the bottom is the section you're on. Top right is your score, bottom left is the current amount of medals, next to that your number of lives, then bombs. Bottom right is your melee attack power, again with 3 levels. When you lose a life, you're penalised by the loss of some medals. As I mentioned, this can be adjusted in the settings. Completing a level awards you a bomb, and I think that's capped at 3 max. You also lose your power-ups when you die, so your weapons are reduced to their lowest level. Power-ups for irregular shot do appear sometimes throughout the levels, so you don't always have to rely on the shop bought ones. Melee power-ups do seem to be confined to the shops though. ZPF, as I'd imagine you've already seen, looks and sounds wonderful. The colour palette is wonderfully vibrant, even though it is quite unique at times, think 80s shell suit colours, but it looks superb with all the parallax and background detail you'd expect from a good 16-bit shooter. What the video probably doesn't put across is just how fluid the motion is in ZPF. It's perhaps one of the smoothest shooters on the Mega Drive. Shmup aficionados may argue it's not the best game on the console, but in terms of fluidity I'd say it's very hard to fault. The music is pretty special in places. Overall it's good, but when it's great it's really great, with a few standout tracks that I think are absolute belters. It sounds glorious played on my B&O with the audio running through my hi-fi setup, which makes the bassier tracks that bit more exciting. Points are scored throughout the levels but also tally up at the end of each level. Additional points are awarded for number of kills, separated by normal and melee kills, medals collected and held, and secrets discovered. You can also, as previously mentioned, exchange your medals for additional points in the shops. Obviously scoring is a big thing in this game, and that leads me to one of my biggest gripes with ZPF: the high scores do not save to the cart. If you get a good score on this, you have to remember it because they clear off every time you switch the console off. That's why the heading for the scoreboard is today's scores, they'll be gone tomorrow. For a game so focused on scoring, I think that's a bit rubbish, but hey, a small gripe with what is on the whole an absolutely fantastic game. My current best score is just over 449,000, which to be honest I'm really pleased with after only a couple of evenings. It did give me that drive to try and beat it though, which is going to keep the game exciting for me for a while I think. I need to practice more if I'm going to reach that final level. But for someone who isn't very good at shooters, it's pretty much perfect for me. Hard enough to be a massive challenge, but not so hard that I don't want to try again. Really well balanced I think. And the deaths feel fair. Every time I die I'm screaming at myself, not at the game, because I know it was down to my own ineptitude rather than due to the game being unfair. ZPF is an absolute blast, and it'll keep me going back for more for a while. I thought I had shmup fatigue on the old systems, as there was a point a few years back when there were just too many being developed, particularly on the Dreamcast. But this has revived my love of them, and it's just the right balance to make it enjoyable for me. Absolutely love it and really impressed. It actually lived up to the hype. Big fan of this game. So that's ZPF on the Mega Drive. Let me know your thoughts or your own experiences with the game if you've played it. Thanks for watching.